Good evening to all of you. This is the international webinar on prevention and control of COVID-19 with focus on India's vaccination drive, organized by Gauhati University and SSL. In this platform, we are present here on behalf of Deputy Commissioner Sri Biswajit Pegu, Sri Anurag Rudra, ACS, Assistant Commissioner, Kamrup Metropolitan, respected Dean, Faculty of Technology, and Professor Tulsi Besborua. He also head and Professor Department of Electronics and Communication, Gauhati University. Respected Speaker, Sri Simanta Das, Consultant Pathologist. Here, invited Speaker, Dr. Dipankar Manna, Research Scientist, University of Oslo, Norway. Special invitee, Mr. Vidyut Thakuria, founder, technofitime.com, Germany. Special invitee guest, Mr. John Kastovic, the founder, technofic.com.
Now, I would like to request today's keynote speaker, Dr. Dipankar Manna, to deliver his talk on topic COVID-19 vaccine, a modern medical miracle. Dr. Manna did his master in biotechnology. He completed his PhD on protein biochemistry and structural biology from Department of Chemistry, University of Oslo. He did his postdoctoral research in Department of Molecular Medicine, University of Oslo. Recently, he working as a research scientist in the same university. He published many research publications in reputed international journals. Dr. Manna, now you can start.
Oh, hello.
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
so let me share my screen. Enter screen. Now, can you see my full screen?
Yes.
sir.
Okay. So, thank you. So, thank you very much, first of all, to invite me to this kind of seminar on this particular pandemic, which is really a need of an hour, I would say. And thank you, my friend Rituparna, for giving me a very kind introduction. And I'm really pleased that, like my former speaker, Dr. Simanta Das, he actually mentioned a lot of things about the medical purpose, because he probably might be looking at the patients on a regular basis. And he clearly mentioned about the pathogenic infection and their roles, and how could we control that, and what kind of the medicines are available, and and what are the research he actually touched upon. And now I think my talk will be very much as a complement, just a follow-up of whatever Dr. Das has mentioned. So I'll be talking about this vaccine. Many of you already know about the vaccines. I think we have almost a very clear idea about how vaccines, what kind of vaccines are available. So I'll just try to touch upon, and I have given the title of my talk, COVID vaccine, a modern miracle, a modern medical miracle. Why I would just come to that point. Okay, so first we are talking about this particular virus called coronavirus. Actually, this coronavirus is not a new one. The first coronavirus infection has been detected in early 1920s in bird. And then the human infection was detected in the year of 1960s, actually. And then actually from then there are actually number of these coronaviruses that actually infect human. So from the beginning, actually, we are very familiar to look at this kind of very beautiful or attractive pictures. Those are the graphic pictures, so that could be understandable for the common people. And also at the same time, we saw some other kind of pictures like a cartoon, so that it would be like to give a message to the people that, okay, this is not a deadly one, we can beat them. So there are so many cartoons. While this is the real picture that is published in the middle of January from NIH, that is the first structure, like the microscopic structure of this particular coronavirus. And based on this particular structure, like all other this attractive or like good looking, easy understandable virus structures had been drawn. So as I mentioned, like this coronavirus now, the pandemic, what is happening, named as SARS CoV-2, like severe respiratory syndrome coronavirus 2. This is the 7th virus that actually infects human beings. Before that, there are actually all the 6 viruses, but this first 4, I'm not going into the detail on that. First 4, they can infect human, but they hardly have any illness on us. While in around 2002, we heard about the infection SARS CoV, also known as SARS CoV-1, and in 2012, we actually experienced the infection of MERS CoV-2. And here now we are in 2019, we heard about this SARS CoV-2. And as Dr. Das already mentioned about this kind of this medical treatment options, transmissibility, I'm not going into that. I'll just jump into that scientific part actually. What is exactly happening in the development of vaccines or other antiviral drugs, or even like the monoclonal antibodies, or even the repurposed drug, those are already present in use for other diseases, whether that can be used for this particular infection. So actually the scientific fight started in early January 2020, on 10th of January, when the whole viral genome of this particular SARS-CoV-2 was published by a Chinese group. Actually, this is the real, like a very remarkable part, because nowadays the technology is at that level that you don't have to do anything actually. If you have the access to a particular database, you can plan your experiment. And then they actually reported that this particular gene has a similarity with a bad SARS-CoV of 88%, whereas the SARS-CoV or the one with 79% and MERS with 50%. And this kind of information is really, really important to develop a vaccine or antiviral drug or any other kind of therapy. Because nowadays, if you know about the gene, we can actually predict their function as well. Now coming to the vaccine development strategies, actually vaccines are made in 2 strategic ways. One is the conventional approach, where like also called as the traditional approach, and another one is the novel approach. But this time I'm talking only on this particular SARS-CoV-2, but these approaches are applicable for all the vaccines that can be made against whatever the pathogenic organism. So in the conventional approach, we usually can do like the whole virus. We can take advantage of this virus. Either we can inactivate the virus or attenuate the virus. Means like killing it's like the lethal property or like the pathogenic property. Or we can take the virus-like particle, or even just take the protein, and then that can be actually formulated in terms like as a vaccine. And also on the other hand, this novel approach, which is really very remarkable, and that is the why I have given the name of my talk as like the magic medical miracle. Here we can have 2 different kind of vaccines like this DNA vaccines, either taking a DNA, and in this case SARS-CoV-2, the main target, like the majority of the vaccine target is the spike protein that actually help attachment to our cells so that it can get into and then infect our cells. So that can be either DNA vaccine or an mRNA vaccine, or like that can also be introduced in a particular vector which is non-infectious to us, and that can go and do their role. And this is, okay, this looks a little bit complicated, just to make it simplify. First, the genome sequence come out, and then just at the end of February 2020, the first structure of that particular spike protein come. Because like for the drug discovery or the vaccine design or the development, a structure is very, very important. And actually, I am basically expertise with this particular part to look at the protein about the structure basis so that get some information that can be used for the drug discovery or a vaccine development. So this is the first lecture came, we give lots of information and followed by another one, protease, just in the middle of March. Another one came, and that actually become very, very special for all the vaccine developers in the world. And that really helped a lot. And this is one of the main reasons that we got this particular SARS CoV-2 vaccine so early. And I will also discuss that in later on my talk. Now, this vaccine development time, usually the vaccine development takes years. Like here, I have just given a couple of names like chicken pox or smallpox. It took 34 years to develop, like from the laboratory to the human application. Well, influenza, it took around 28 years, but still we are struggling to get the best one out of it. And human papillomavirus, 15 years, measles, 9 years, and polio, 7 years, while the mumps is the shortest. As of now, before the SARS CoV-2 virus came, it was developed in 4 years. While the SARS CoV-2 initial plan was to get the vaccine within 1.5 years, means 18 months. But we are so lucky, and because of the technology and the tremendous scientific collaboration among groups, among countries, that make it possible so that we actually got this vaccine just in 11 months, and that is remarkable. And that is following the new technology, that is the novel technology. And here there are several types of vaccines can be developed, but this is not only for this particular SARS-CoV-2, like any other infection, for any other vaccine. These are the common. And the highlighted one that I'll be talking about only this particular 4 type of vaccine, which is now like the talking point during this pandemic. First, I'll come to the inactivated vaccine, how that can be grown. Like one example is our Indian vaccine that is called Covaxin by Bharat Biotech. So here what happened, as I mentioned earlier, like most of the vaccines, they are targeting this spike protein, which is required for the attachment. So they actually inactivated by some chemical so that the gene part will be inactivated. When it will be going in, they cannot actually infect or multiply, but still our immunity, our immunocells, they can detect them and make the antibody. And when that could be done, then actually our body has been injected with this vaccine and our immune system will actually respond to that and then develop a lot of like these antibodies so that they can fight. And as also, I'll also agree with Dr. Das that he mentioned that this vaccine is a prevention. It's not a cure, it's a prevention, because if one person is infected, the vaccine cannot do anything because it has to be protected, and it is the drug or the medicine that actually cure the disease. And then the protein subunit vaccine. Similarly, in case of here, actually, again, this spike protein, they are taking the gene and then cloning into some other organism, let's say bacteria or insect cells or mammalian cells, to grow them like in a different way and then in a large scale, and then they formulate it and put that protein vaccine, that spike protein, to get into our body, and so that in response to that, our immune system again grow the antibody and they will fight against them. And one of the companies just recently, they got a very nice third phase trial and they are under approval, Novavax. And then now this is really the main important point for this SARS-CoV-2, the mRNA and the DNA vaccine. Here what happened? Again, this spike protein, they are just taking the mRNA here, like the mRNA, and then they are actually formulating inside a lipid coating, and then it can go into our body by injection. Now the question might come, why we need this kind of coating? This is very simple. For example, if you are ordering something, let's say ordering a mobile phone from Amazon or Flipkart, usually they came with a well-packed. Why? Because from the warehouse to the customer, it should be reached a very protected way. And the same way, mRNA is very, very sensitive because if we inject it, it will immediately destroy everything. Like all the mRNA will be destroyed by our immunocells. So that could be well protected so that it reach to the immunocells in a particular way. So, and that is called the vaccine formulation. And then will be injected, and then we will develop some antibody that can fight against this particular virus. And as of now, Moderna and Pfizer, they are the two vaccines they are actually developed with this particular technology, mRNA technology. And then the DNA, like similarly, same, but instead of spike protein, like mRNA here, they are just taking a DNA part, which is responsible for this spike protein expression. And then that has been introduced in a particular vector, and then the people will be getting injected, and this will develop antibodies in our body that could fight our future infection. And the major companies are working with this DNA technology is AstraZeneca and Oxford, Janssen, a part of Johnson & Johnson, and the Sputnik V as well. Now, just to have a timeline, as I mentioned briefly, like in general, it takes 10 to 15 years to 20 years to develop a particular vaccine at an average, if we consider all the vaccines. And there are important stages, like the first step, that the exploratory, means the laboratory scale, we have to check whether the things are working well or not. If we get the success in the laboratory, then it will go to preclinical, means like animal trial, mouse, rabbit, or maybe some other animals. We have to test that, like whether it is working or not. If it goes successful, then we have to apply for a clinical trial on human. Okay, 1, 2, 3, which I'm coming next. And then if it is successful in the clinical trial, then we have to send it for the approval so that we can market it and then use it to the people. And then with approval gone, like the done, then the company will manufacture it in a big way. But of the world, they took a huge, like a huge gamble. They actually make the trial like at the same time, and they have manufactured a lot. But if it doesn't work, it would have been a huge loss for the company. They actually got a lot of fundings, like the private fundings, government funding, and which is really good. Finally, good that it worked. And then just to mention about like this, how this clinical trial occurs, because this clinical trial is really, really, really important before we inject like into the human to actually as a prevention of this particular virus or even any virus. And like there are around more than 90% of the drug or vaccine, they actually fail from animal model to the human clinical trial. Like in the phase 1, as we many of us already know about this terminology, phase 1, 2, 3, 4, and in the phase 1 trial, just a few hundreds of participants just to check that whether the vaccine is safe or not. Like whenever we're injecting, they are developing some kind of a weird side effects or like malfunctioning or not. If it is good, then we will go for the next 2, like phase 2. Here actually a couple of hundred people we are recruiting to test the same vaccine, but not with the same people sometimes, but mostly the other population. Here actually we do safety and the dosing, like those that can be effective. And then we'll go for the third phase, which is larger, like the couple of thousands. Like as we know, like all this available vaccine, they go like 30 to 50,000 people they included actually in this trial to find out as well. And when it goes well, then the drug will be getting approval. But that is not the end of the process. Still, like the phase 4, like the post-approval, the random study will be also going on. Like if some of the side effects come, immediately that vaccine could be stopped anytime. But as of now, with COVID, we have actually a very good news that the thing with this Sputnik V vaccine, that these 2 doses are actually separate. But while all other vaccines, those are the 2 doses, they are the same vaccine, they just given twice. First dose and the second dose, same vaccine. While the Sputnik V, actually, the 2 doses are different. First dose and the second dose are different. And also to mention like the other vaccines, Pfizer and BioNTech, the mRNA vaccine, it has efficacy of 95% and it is effective to some extent for South African and the Brazil variant, while the Moderna, another one mRNA vaccine, 94% with some effectivity against the UK and South African variant. And like recently, Johnson & Johnson vaccine, 84% efficacy and can have effect on South African and the Brazil variant as well. And this is the protein subunit vaccine, Novavax. It has the highest, like 96% effectivity and can fight against South Africa. And so till yesterday, total vaccination in the worldwide is around 2.8 billion dose has been done. In the world, India has around 300 million, means like around 31 crore. But the good, many more to come. So we have to keep our hope on, like the several other vaccines are coming in the market. And now I'll be coming to the Indian vaccination drive, because this is one of the biggest vaccine drive in the world. Till today, these are the three vaccines that are available in India: Covishield, Sputnik V, and if we have the data from the Indian government, like how much the vaccination we have done, the red line actually, initially it was slow for the preparation, but now like we are really like going peak, and especially last few days, we are really doing extremely well. Like we had done around 9 million a day, so around 90 lakhs. While this YOLO is the first dose and the second dose, which is really, really very good, I would say. And now comparing to this Covishield and the Covaxin, this we have given more on the Covishield vaccine than the Covaxin, while the Sputnik V's number is low because it just started. And this is the male-female, like the male actually got a little bit higher number than the female because there are reason, like most of our frontline workers, they are males actually in number more, so this number goes a little bit up. And now this is very interesting part actually. This is very, very good slide, I would say. These are the three vaccines, and Indian government, like actually they have the total capacity of this Covishield 840 million, while our government already has ordered 750 million dosage. While Covaxin 700 million, their capacity already ordered 550, and the Sputnik V, they have a capacity of 140 million, but our government has ordered more. So now you can feel that, okay, we are really going well in this part to get more vaccination. But of course, vaccination is time-taking process, and India, we have 1.4 billion people, and obviously it will take more time, and the availability of the vaccine is also not to be ignored. Why? This is very interesting paper actually, because the global, they are having very, very interested on this particular variant, which is called as the Delta variant and the Delta Plus, which earlier it was called as the Indian variant because it was first isolated in India. One recent small studies in UK, they have published like on 17th of June that the AstraZeneca vaccine and the Pfizer vaccine, they have a good capability fighting against this particular Delta and the Delta Plus variant. And in India, actually, we have mostly using this AstraZeneca vaccine, which is really good.
Sir, your mic is mute.
Dipankar, please unmute your...
I think it's done, right? Yeah. So now I just reshared. Okay. So these are the status of the vaccines we have, and like as I was talking about, this particular vaccine AstraZeneca is really having a good effect. But even though the study is really very small, but obviously some more study are expected to come in future, in few days, probably maybe in few weeks. And also Pfizer vaccine, we are also in a process, and hopefully in a couple of weeks that will also start rolling out in India. So yeah, that's a very good news actually. And also like other Indian vaccines on the race, like these, because there are several other Indian vaccines are on the developmental stage, while these four I found, I just put it here because they are very close. Like this ZyCoV-D from the Zydus, it's a DNA vaccine similar as AstraZeneca and Sputnik V. They are in the phase 3 trial. Hopefully, they will be soon applying for the approval after checking the data. And also another one from Biological E. It's a protein subunit vaccine similar as Novavax. It's also under phase 3 trial. And another one, RNA vaccine like Moderna and Pfizer, it's from a company Genova, which is in the phase 1 trial, and Bharat Biotech, they are having another one vaccine, which is a DNA vaccine. They are also under the phase 1 trial. And this is not the end. There are several other vaccines are on the list, which we are hopefully to get in future. So the take-home messages are: get vaccinated whenever you get the opportunity, and don't think about which one to get, because majority of the vaccines, they are almost very similar. Like the differences are not that big actually. So get vaccine whatever is available, whatever is offered to you. And also, this is very important, use mask regularly, and please use the mask as it should be, like use it very properly, not like to show that you have mask. No, that is not the thing. You have to wear the mask, not you have to carry the mask. Then keep social distancing, because that really helped a lot. And like maintaining a good distance, like first thing, you are safe and you can help you can contribute to the society as well. And maintain hygiene as much as possible, like washing your hand, like taking care of all other hygiene parts. Like even though if your sanitized alcohol-based sanitizer is not available, just simply use whatever the soap is available at your home. That can equally kill the virus and very effectively. So just use that. And this is most important. Don't believe in Facebook and WhatsApp University, because nowadays there are a lot of misinformation, and that actually make this COVID fight very, very like much more complicated, I would say. So be careful. Nowadays, like most of us have the smartphone. Actually, whenever you are getting some information, just check that in Google. That every information you will find it from Google. Even though like there are a lot more like talks on the vaccines, the vaccine is bad or this, blah, blah, blah. Just you go and check there. Check in the Google. Check for most of the like the science article, or like some news portal, they actually talk about science, because there you will get more reliable information. And this media actually mostly, they actually like overemphasize the thing, because just as their marketing policy. So don't believe on that. Rather, whenever if you're watching the news, listen to those people in the panels, like the scientists, doctors, listen to their views.
A very good evening to Dr. Dipankar Manna, sir. So my first question to you is about the ongoing debate. So as we all know, there is a proposal that the government has put about waiving the intellectual property rights. So what do you think, if in fact this policy is implemented, how it is going to change the whole trend setting of COVID vaccination drive over the whole world, and also special reference to India, how it is going to benefit or have an impact on the drive that we are having in India currently?
Okay, that's a very important question actually. This IP debate is going for several weeks by now. Like to answer that question, actually, this has both like the good side and the bad side as well. Like good side means, for example, as I mentioned in my talk, that India is the one of the biggest producer of the vaccine worldwide, like 60% of the vaccine in the world. So in India, we have really very nice vaccine production facilities, so that if the intellectual property right waived off, then and with the technology transfer, I think we have really good quality companies. They can actually produce that in a good way, like following the particular protocol and everything. But also at the same time, why I say it can be bad, because because it should be very, very like the regulations should be very, very strict. Like not only like any company who are working for vaccines, they should not be given in this right, because first thing, the IPOing that give the chance that if some protocol is not going well, even a very trace amount of contamination, that can be harmful for the human being. And when we give the vaccines to human in the mass, that might have a huge impact on that. So I would support that IP right to be specifically given to a few countries with a much greater like the evaluation, their vaccine history, their performance and their success rate to give those particular companies so that they can actually maintain the same kind of quality. And also that is a bad for the company side, like those who have developed that, because vaccine production, it's a huge amount of money again, like huge amount of money. They actually invest a lot. So obviously whatever they have invested for the research purpose, they would definitely try to get that as well, and which is not illogical completely. But thinking about the situation during this pandemic, that's why the debate is ongoing, and I'm hopeful that something will come out, possibly with some kind of restriction. The wave can be this IP right can be waived off. But if I think the most benefited will be the India.
Definitely. So totally what you said, I totally agree with it. Thank you so much, sir, for answering it so precisely. I'm definitely sure the people who have this confusion about this topic, all the confusions are totally clear. So I'll ask one last question to you, sir. So as you said that vaccination is not a cure, it is actually prevention. It is a preventive nature. So, sir, it is not 100% effective to all the variants, and of course, with the Delta variant coming on, it has been, which still is not very effective. So at times, citizens say that they do not want to get vaccinated. Because if we are not getting the safety from the future variants, then why should we,
Yeah. No, it's okay. Yeah, because sometimes your voice was breaking actually. Yeah.
So sorry, sir.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
So, sir, that's what I was asking. So, do you think how do we address this question to our to our citizens, to our neighbors, and how do we tell them that you need to get vaccinated? Because they do have a point when they say that it is not effective. So, how do we address that to our?
Okay, that is actually. I don't think I can answer that question, but that is really a very relevant and very important question, based on the situations that are happening. But this is not happening not only in India, this is a problem in the globe actually. Several other, this first world country, they also have the same issues. But the only thing is that what I think, people need to have a much clearer communication, and the promotions from the government, like the organizations, like as I heard, this NSS, they are really doing a very excellent job. Like this kind of small organization, if they take part, if they actually goes to the people that, okay, look, this is not something to fear of. This is good for you. Actually, something why happen, people somehow, they are not really confident enough. Like people listen to the news. Like the biggest problem is that people listen to news, but they do not really care about the science that much, because science is always not like that representable, like a breaking news, blockbusters, like the science doesn't go like that. So I think this will be the responsibility for individual citizens, those who are educated, some small organizations, along with the government, to go to the people, to talk to them. This is good, this is not the harmful, because you will be getting benefited, your family will be getting benefited. So in that perspective, I think that could be a very effective way to actually help them understand. Otherwise, we'll be having some problem.
Thank you so much, Dr. Manna, sir, for answering all the questions so wholeheartedly, even though we are cutting started.
Now we come to the end of this webinar. So now Honorable Chief Guest and Guest of Honor, respected Director, Sir, speakers of today's webinar, and my dear participants. It's my privilege to propose a vote of thanks on behalf of Gauhati University Campus NSS Unit. First of all, I want to express my gratitude to today's inaugurator, Anurag Rudra Sir, IS Assistant Deputy Commissioner, Kamrup Assam, who has spared his valuable time for us and inaugurate the webinar. We are also thankful to Sir for his extremely relevant address on the current pandemic situation and for his best wishes to all the NSS volunteers. I extend my sincere thanks to our guest of honor, Professor Tulsi Besbura Sir, Dean Faculty of Technology and Head Department of Electronics and Communication Technology, Gauhati University, for enlightening us with his views on COVID-19. Thank you, sir. I express my sincere thanks to today's speaker, Dr. Simanto Das, for expressing his views on control and prevention of COVID-19. He gives a detailed idea about the virus and different measures for the prevention of these viral infections. I also wish to express my gratitude to our today's keynote speaker, Dr. Dipankar Manna, for expressing his views on topic COVID-19 vaccine, a modern medical miracle. Dr. Manna gives a complete view on various vaccines that are used in Indian vaccination drive. We are really thankful for him for his very informative presentation. Thank you for enlightening us. I also give my sincere thanks to today's special invitee, Mr. Bidut Thakuria and Jan Kostovic, for giving a view of COVID situation of their respective countries. Thank you. I further extend my heartiest thanks to Dr. Ranjan Kumar Kakoti sir, NSS Coordinator, Gauhati University, for his constant support and motivation. Without his support, this webinar would not have been possible. Thank you, sir. My deep sense of appreciation and thanks to all the participants, NSS program officers, NSS volunteers, and my dear students who attend this webinar with great enthusiasm and made it a successful event. Once again, I thank you all for being with us in this afternoon. Have a wonderful day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you all for participations. Yeah.
Thank you very much.